Hey everyone, welcome to our little study group for PP 5361, Theory and Management of Public Service Organizations. Today, we're jumping right into the required text, Managing Human Behavior in Public and Nonprofit Organizations. We're going to tackle Chapter 11, which is all about conflict. All right, let's get into it.
So, I want to kick things off with a big question, one that really gets to the core of this whole chapter. Is all conflict bad? I mean, our first instinct is usually to say yes, right? We'd think of it as something to avoid, something that's just messy. But what if that's not the whole picture?
And that leads us right to our first big idea for today. We've got to completely rethink how we look at conflict. I mean, what if we stopped seeing it as just a threat and started looking at it as a genuine opportunity? An opportunity for some real growth and new ideas.
You know, the textbook draws a really important line in the sand here. On one side, you've got what it calls dysfunctional conflict. And that's the stuff we all dread, right? It creates bad feelings, it makes good people want to leave, and it just grinds everything to a halt. But on the other side, there's constructive conflict. And this is the game changer. When you manage it the right way, it's actually the engine for progress. It's what sparks creativity and stops an organization from getting stale.
And get this isn't some tiny part of a manager's job. Not at all. Studies show that managers spend a whopping 30 to 40% of their time dealing with conflict. Just think about that. That's a huge piece of their workday. It just goes to show you being good at managing conflict isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It's absolutely essential.
The legendary management guru Peter Drucker pushes this idea even further. He points out that the best leaders don't just put out fires. Sometimes they actually start them. On purpose. They encourage healthy disagreement among their teams because they know it forces everyone to look at a problem from every single angle. And that, in the end, leads to way better decisions. It sounds kind of backwards, but it's an incredibly smart way to lead.
Okay, so if we agree that conflict can actually be a good thing, how do we get a handle on it? Well, we have to start by understanding its anatomy. We need to pop the hood and look at the theories behind why it happens and the different styles people use when they find themselves in the middle of it.
First up, there's something called systems theory. This way of thinking tells us to zoom out. Instead of seeing a conflict as just an argument between two people, it says, hey, this is probably a symptom of something bigger in the whole system. So if two departments are always at each other's throats, maybe the problem isn't the people. Maybe it's a clunky process or goals that are totally at odds with each other. It's all about finding the real root of the problem.
Now this next one, attribution theory, this is so fascinating because it explains so much about human nature. It basically says we all have this built-in bias. When we do something wrong, we blame the situation. You know, I was late because the traffic was a nightmare. But when someone else does the same thing, we blame their character. They're late because they're just irresponsible. Just knowing that we all do this is a huge first step in being a little more fair-minded during a disagreement.
So a guy named Kenneth Thomas gave us this super helpful map for understanding the 5 main ways people approach conflict. You've got competition, which is all about winning, pure and simple. It's a win-lose situation. On the total opposite end is accommodation, where you basically just give in to the other person. Then there's avoidance, where you pretend the problem doesn't exist. Kind of in the middle is compromise, where everybody gives up a little something. But the holy grail, the one we're usually aiming for, is collaboration. That's the win-win where you work together to find a solution that makes everyone happy.
So whenever a conflict pops up, it's like you're standing at a fork in the road. It can go down one path, spiraling into something really toxic and destructive, or it can be guided down another path toward a positive, healthy resolution. Let's take a look at both of these paths.
First, let's look at that downward spiral. It's a slippery slope. It starts off small. Positions get a little more rigid, discussions turn into debates, then people stop talking and just start doing things without consulting each other. After that, it stops being about the issue and starts being about winning. People form little alliances. From there, it can get nasty, with public attacks on each other's character. And in the worst cases, it leads to real threats and damage. Seeing these stages is key to stopping the slide before it's too late.
But thankfully, there is a much, much better way. It comes from the Harvard Negotiation Project, and it's called principled negotiation. It's got 4 main points. 1. Separate the person from the problem. 2. Don't get stuck on positions. Focus on the interests underneath. 3. Brainstorm a ton of different options for mutual gain. And 4. Make sure the final agreement is based on some fair, objective standard. The motto is simple, but so powerful. Be soft on the people, hard on the problem.
Okay, let's bring all this theory back to our world. How does this all apply in the unique setting of public and nonprofit organizations? Because, as you can imagine, conflict there can look a little different.
Yeah, conflict in our sector is a whole different ballgame. We're always trying to balance huge competing values, like, say, economic development versus protecting the environment. We're almost always dealing with tight budgets and scarce resources. Plus, everything we do is under a public microscope. And then there's this really interesting idea called mission mirroring. It's when the conflicts inside an organization start to look like the social problems the organization is trying to fix on the outside. How wild is that?
It's also super important to know about the common mental traps we can fall into during a negotiation. Like this one here, the mythical fixed pie. It's this false idea that there's only a limited amount to go around, so if you get more, I have to get less. Thinking like that is a surefire way to get stuck. The real magic happens when you realize the pie isn't fixed at all. You can often work together to make it bigger for everyone.
And I love this slide because it gives managers a proactive toolkit. Instead of just reacting to fights, you can figure out the root cause and then step into a specific role to fix it. So if the issue is that relationships are weak, you become a bridge builder. If people don't have the right skills, you become a teacher. It's a really powerful shift from just being a referee to being a genuine conflict transformer. So this all leaves us with a final big thought to chew on. Conflict is going to happen. It's just an inevitable, natural part of any organization that's alive and growing. Stagnation, though, that's a choice. So for us as the next generation of leaders in this field, the question isn't if we'll face conflict. The real question is, how are we going to manage it? Will we let it paralyze us, or will we harness its energy to move us forward?